Out on America's back roads and old forest trails, some memories never quite fade. The smell of warm four-stroke oil, the crack of a two-stroke on a cool morning, and those machines that carried us farther than we ever expected. Simple, honest bikes built before everything turned digital, fragile, and polite. In Part 1, we looked at 10 off-road legends worth collecting today. But the deeper you dig into the past, the more forgotten treasures you uncover. Bikes that slipped through the cracks, bikes that never got their due, and a few that are finally getting the respect they earned decades ago. So tonight, we open the shed door one more time. Here are 10 more off-road bikes worth collecting in 2025. Machines with stories worth keeping alive. Honda XR 250R, 1986 to 1995. If the XR 600R was the heavyweight hero of the Honda Trail family, the XR 250R was the one most riders actually grew up with. In this lineup, it earns its place as the easy way in, a doorway into the XR and RFVC world for anyone collecting vintage off-road machines without wanting the size, weight, or intimidation of the big thumpers. This was the friendly XR, the bike that taught a whole generation how to ride the woods. Built during Honda's golden era of the late 80s and early 90s, the XR 250R carried the same RFVC spirit. Simple, reliable, go-anywhere engineering that made Honda king of America's trails. Light, manageable, and sized right for real riders, it became the teenage memory of countless Americans who learned throttle control on forest roads and county back roads. Prices have been creeping up since 2021, steady, predictable growth, as younger riders search for vintage machines that are still practical. With XR 600R and XR 650R prices soaring, the XR 250R has quietly become the smart buy. $1,500 to $2,200 for riders, $2,400 to $3,200 for clean originals, $3,500 plus for near time capsule examples. Good plastics, original tanks, and unmolested wiring are getting rare. Many were ridden hard, raced lightly, or modified with big bore kits. So buyers today look for lightly used, mostly stock examples. For anyone wanting an honest, easygoing XR to start a collection, this is the one. Simple, dependable, and built to be enjoyed, not feared. Honda XL 600R, 1983 to 1987. Long before the word dual sport showed up on dealership brochures, Honda quietly built a machine that did the job better than most bikes that would follow. The XL 600R earns its place on this list because it laid the groundwork for the modern dual sport idea, serving as the bridge between the dirt-focused XR line and the world of legal street riding and long-distance touring. It was the one bike a rider could take to work on Friday, load with a small bag, and point toward the mountains on Saturday. Arriving in the mid-80s, it carried the same RFVC heart as the XR 600R, but wrapped it in real-world practicality. Lights, signals, a speedometer, and gearing that made highway miles possible. Many Americans and Europeans remember it as the perfect, big trail machine of the era. Rugged, capable, and made for dusty back roads. Collectors have started to notice. Prices are rising, especially for complete street trim examples. $2,000 to $3,000 for usable riders. $3,200 to $4,200 for strong, tour-ready bikes. $4,500 to $5,500 for rare, original red and white machines. Because many were stripped for off-road use or worked hard as utility bikes, original plastics, full lighting, and clean wiring harnesses are getting scarce. Frames and subframes need checking for fatigue, and aging CDI units can be troublesome. For riders who want a vintage machine they can display proudly and still take on a weekend trip, the XL 600R remains one of Honda's most honest creations. Yamaha WR 400F, 1998 to 2000. When the WR 400F rolled onto American dirt in the late 90s, it didn't just add another option to the off-road world, it signaled a shift. At a time when two-strokes still ruled every MX gate and every woods race, this machine proved that a four-stroke could be fast, fierce, and truly competitive. It became the forefather of Yamaha's entire WRF and YZF families, and one of the earliest bikes to pull four-stroke performance into the modern era. Riders in GNCC, Enduro, and early 2000 desert events discovered its potential quickly. Even today, the WR 400F feels raw, mechanical, and alive, exactly what collectors love about first-generation technology. Prices remain reasonable considering its historical weight, but clean examples are rising as the community rediscovers these early four-stroke race platforms. $2,000 to $2,800 for used, race-worn bikes. $3,000 to $3,700 for clean, lightly raced units. $4,000 to $4,500 for rare, near collector-grade machines. Because many were ridden hard and raced to death, original unmodified WR 400Fs are getting scarce. Frames, linkages, and suspension parts often show fatigue, and engines rebuilt without care can hide worn bearings or tired valve trains. This bike suits collectors who appreciate engineering milestones, people willing to give the machine the attention it deserves in exchange for a riding experience that's unmistakably first-generation four-stroke power. Suzuki DRZ 400E, K, and S, 2000 to 2007. By the early 2000s, riders in America were asking for a single motorcycle that could do just about everything. Ride to work during the week, explore forest roads on the weekend, and handle a real trail when the dirt got deep. Suzuki answered with the DRZ 400, a bike that quickly became one of the most versatile dual sport machines of its generation. Tough, practical, and endlessly adaptable, it earned its reputation as the modern classic for everyone. It showed up in garages from coast to coast, used as a commuter, a long-distance ADV light machine, a weekend trail bike, and even a supermoto build. Because the community is huge and parts support remains strong, clean DRZs are now holding their value and slowly creeping upward. $2,200 to $3,000 for high-mileage early models. $3,200 to $4,200 for clean, mostly stock bikes. $4,500 to $6,000 for well-kept supermoto or premium builds. While plenty were sold, truly original, low-mile, unmodified DRZs are surprisingly rare. Many were ridden daily or heavily modified with big-bore kits, cams, and carb swaps. Fun mods, but not what collectors want. The DRZ 400 is ideal for anyone who wants a collectible off-road machine they can actually use. It's honest, durable, and still one of the most capable do-everything thumpers America ever embraced. Suzuki RMX 250, 1989 to 1998. The RMX 250 sits in a special corner of off-road history, a bridge between Suzuki's hard-charging RM motocross line and the world of real trail and enduro riding. It was one of the few two-strokes Suzuki built specifically for the woods, not just the racetrack. And because it lived in the shadow of the KDX, YZ, and early EXC models, many riders overlooked it at the time, leaving it underrated for years. Today, rarity is its greatest strength. The RMX was never produced in huge numbers, and clean examples are becoming harder to find. As prices for KDX 200, 220, YZ 250, and KTM two-strokes rise, collectors have turned to the RMX as the off-mainstream alternative. $2,500 to $3,200 for average riders needing attention, $3,500 to $4,500 for proper RMX spec units with lights, tank, and seat intact, $5,000 to $6,000 for rare, clean, lightly modified examples. Many RMXs lost their identity over the years. Lights removed, MX plastics swapped, wiring harnesses hacked. Full-spec originals with working electrics and OEM plastics are truly scarce. On the trail, the RMX offers a responsive, high-performance two-stroke feel without the punishing edge of a full MX racer. Engine parts remain manageable thanks to RM compatibility, though RMX-specific components can be a challenge to source. For collectors seeking a woods-ready two-stroke with character, and one that stands apart from the usual suspects, the RMX 250 is a gem worth hunting. Kawasaki KLX 300R, 1997 to 2007. The KLX 300R has always lived in a comfortable middle ground, light, friendly, and dependable, bridging the gap between Kawasaki's beloved KDX two-strokes and the larger four-stroke thumpers that came later. Many riders called it the Small XR, a gentle, good-natured machine that welcomed beginners, yet still carried enough spirit to keep experienced trail riders entertained. Built for America's single-track, wooded hills, and mountain trails, the KLX 300R earned a reputation as a quiet workhorse. And when Kawasaki revived the KLX 300 name in the 2020s with a new street-legal model, interest in the older R versions picked up quickly. Collectors began taking notice of clean, original bikes, something that's getting harder to find. Market prices reflect that renewed attention. $1,800 to $2,500 for well-used trail machines. $2,700 to $3,500 for clean, low-owner examples. $3,800 to $4,200 for near collector-grade units. Because so many KLX 300Rs were used as mule bikes in the woods, a lot of them look tired today. Scratched plastics, bent levers, faded tanks. Genuine OEM parts in good shape add significant value. On the trail, the bike is light, forgiving, and approachable, perfect for riders who want something enjoyable rather than intimidating. Parts support remains decent, and maintenance is simple as long as previous owners didn't neglect oil changes or allow dirt to clog the air filter. For anyone wanting a collectible off-road machine that's still gentle enough for a relaxed weekend ride, the KLX 300R is one of the best choices out there. Kawasaki KX 500, 1983 to 2004. The Kawasaki KX 500 stands tall as one of the most feared and admired machines in off-road history, a true big-bore two-stroke icon and the natural rival to Honda's CR 500R. In the world of open-class racing, hill climbs, and desert events, the KX 500 earned a reputation that still echoes today. A bike so powerful that, in many cases, it felt like the machine was riding the rider, not the other way around. Those stories, half warning, half legend, are a big part of why collectors chase it now. Among vintage off-road bikes, the KX 500 has become a genuine blue-chip collectible. Prices stay high and continue to rise because clean, original examples are incredibly hard to find. Many surviving bikes have been modified for hill climb or sand drag use, making unmolested units valuable. $3,500 to $4,500 for hard-used machines. $5,500 to $7,500 for mostly original examples. $8,000 to $12,000 for showroom-level, full OEM unicorns. Original frames, swing arms, and head tubes often show fatigue after years of extreme use, and engines with poor quality modifications can be unreliable. Cosmetic parts, especially OEM plastics, are notoriously hard to source. The KX 500 isn't for casual collectors. It's for the riders who appreciate raw, untamed power and who want a true monument to the wildest era of American off-road racing. Honda CR500R, 1984 to 2001. Few motorcycles in American off-road history carry a reputation as fierce or as respected as the Honda CR500R. It stands here as one of the most famous dirt bikes ever built, the undisputed peak of Honda's big-bore two-stroke era. From desert racing to motocross, hill climbs, and sand drags, the CR500R carved its legend across the country, earning a fearsome image as the beast only a few dared to tame. For collectors, it has become a true blue-chip machine. Demand stays high, supply stays low, and the sweet spot years, 1989 through 2001, remain the most desirable thanks to improved chassis, suspension, and overall handling. Market values reflect that. $4,000 to $5,500 for heavily used or modified bikes. $6,000 to $8,500 for clean, mostly original examples. $9,000 to $14,000 plus for full OEM collector-grade unicorns. Because so many CR500Rs were converted into supermotos, hill climbers, or drag machines, untouched stock bikes are incredibly rare. Factory plastics, original graphics, OEM exhausts, and proper MX wheels are prized. On the trail or track, the bike demands respect. Its explosive power band delivers a feeling modern four-strokes simply can't replicate. That raw, thrilling surge that made the CR500R a legend in the first place. Rebuild parts still exist, but pristine OEM pieces grow scarce, and many bikes have questionable past rebuilds. For riders chasing the true holy grail of American two-stroke power, nothing matches the CR500R. Yamaha YZ250, 1996 to 2004 era. Few motorcycles have earned universal respect across generations the way Yamaha's YZ250 has. Within the world of two-stroke motocross, it stands as one of the most balanced 250cc machines ever built, a bike so well-rounded that riders, both amateur and pro, kept choosing it even as four-strokes began taking over the gates. For many Americans, the YZ250 became the default answer whenever someone asked what two-stroke to buy. Its legacy stretches from Friday night practice tracks to regional pro races, carrying riders through the late 90s and into the 2000s with a platform that was fast, predictable, and surprisingly forgiving. That reputation has made it a highly collectible machine today, especially as the global two-stroke revival continues pushing values upward. The most desirable examples are the 2002 to 2004 aluminum frame bikes, 2,500 to 3,800 for average race-used units, 4,000 to 5,300 for clean aluminum frame bikes, 5,500 to 6,200 for OEM plastic ready-to-race machines. Truly low-hour, minimally rebuilt YZ250s are becoming uncommon. Frames and linkages can show fatigue from years of racing, and engines often pass through several rebuilds with little documentation. But parts support is excellent, and returning a YZ250 to OEM glory is easier than with most vintage MX bikes. For riders wanting a legendary two-stroke, they can both collect and actually ride on the track, the YZ250 remains one of the finest choices ever made. Husaberg FE 600, FE 650, 1990s to 2000s. The Husaberg FE 600 and FE 650 represent one of the wildest chapters in European enduro history, a period when small manufacturers were willing to experiment, push boundaries, and build machines unlike anything coming out of Japan. These big displacement Husabergs were light, brutally strong, and raced to victory in enduro and rally events throughout the 90s and early 2000s. Their unusual engine layout and unconventional design made them feel raw, mechanical, and unlike any other four-stroke of their era. For collectors, rarity is the key appeal. Production numbers were low to begin with, and many surviving bikes were pushed into barns or sheds when maintenance became too demanding. Clean, original examples are becoming true cult pieces, with prices rising steadily. $2,500 to $3,500 for average condition bikes needing attention, $4,000 to $5,500 for clean, mostly original runners, $6,000 to $7,500 for well-preserved machines with OEM plastics and exhaust. Because Husaberg ownership required more knowledge than casual riders expected, many bikes suffered from poor wiring mods, sloppy rebuilds, or incorrect maintenance. Finding one with intact plastics, proper graphics, working gauges, and uncut wiring is like finding a unicorn. On the trail, these bikes deliver huge power with surprisingly little weight, offering a raw, visceral experience far from the polished feel of Japanese machines. They suit collectors who enjoy something difficult, unusual, and rewarding, not just a bike to pay for, but a bike to understand. These machines still carry a special kind of magic, not because they're perfect, not because they're easy, but because each one represents a moment when off-road riding was simpler, rougher, and far more honest than it is today. These 10 bikes, some gentle, some wild, some downright intimidating, remind us of the years when a good weekend meant a tank of gas, a dusty trail, and a motor that thumped or screamed beneath us. If you've ever wanted to start a collection or add something meaningful to the one you already have, there's no better time than now. These bikes aren't just old machines. They're pieces of the sport's backbone, still worth preserving, still worth riding, and still worth remembering. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share your stories below and subscribe for more.